Hi everyone, welcome to Tent Talk, the Farmers Market podcast. This podcast is all about farmers markets, how to increase your market business success, and in our current climate, maximize safety while providing people with fresh food. Farmers markets are essential. Whether you're a farmers market manager or a small farmer or food producer selling at farmers markets, you have found just the right podcast. On today's episode of Tent Talk, we're going to chat about some questions of the day and provide some updates on plans for our 2021 conference. Whoop whoop. I'm one of your hosts, Bridget Myers. I've spent years as an on-site farmers market manager, and I'm the education coordinator at Farmers Market Pros.
And I'm Kat Fields-White, Director of San Diego Markets, where I'm still an active farmers market manager, founder of Farmers Market Pros, and host of the Farmers Market Pros community and membership.
And I'm co-host Justine Marzoni-Mead, Tent Talk producer, marketing director for Farmers Market Pros, and technical coordinator for Intense, the Farmers Market Conference 2021.
Here we go, ladies. Welcome back to Tent Talk, everybody. Today we're going to do a little catch-up session, chat about some questions coming up in our Farmers Market Pros community, which I hope you are all a part of, all you listeners, and talk a little bit about Intense, the Farmers Market Conference 2021. We are so excited to have confirmed dates for the conference.
We do. It took some time to figure
after much
that out.
Conversation.
We're like, what are we going to do?
What are we going to do? Are we going to try to meet in person? Is everything going to disappear and be back to normal?
We tried to get a psychic. She couldn't tell us anything.
Kept polishing the crystal balls. Nothing. Pretty much nothing.
Don't know. We're just moving forward.
We're in. We'll be meeting live online. Right?
That is fun. A little confusing, but fun. I like it when people are using that.
Yeah.
Because then it still feels like, okay, it's a
live
live
event. It's going to be live. It's not
Yeah.
like you're just watching a movie.
Yeah,
Right?
that's true.
It's,
We'll
there's
all
some
be there.
interaction.
Yeah.
That's right.
We'll all be there.
We'll all be there.
Justine and I still have to wake up early.
That's
so
right.
It's live, okay?
It's live, all right? And that'll be Monday, February 15th through Thursday, February 18th for the conference this coming year. We will be keeping you posted, of course, on how that works out in terms of hours in the day. What are we doing in the morning? What are we doing in the afternoon? We're in some pretty good conversations with Farmers Market Coalition, and I think they're going to be supplying some special content on their side, certain times of the day. And we're hoping that even more of our community will be able to attend this year, since travel costs will be low.
Yeah, you just walk from your bedroom to your kitchen.
Yep, and you're there. So, no lift ticket to the airport, no flights, no hotels.
No expensive San Diego hotel, sorry,
Yeah.
but they're all expensive here because we
right.
live in San Diego.
Yeah, so the bummer is we won't be there on the waterfront, but we
But
will
we
in our
could
minds. We could be, that's right.
We're going to come to you live from the marina.
No gloating, ladies.
We're going to be on a boat, actually. Can get a booster signal. And we'll be working on all of our content this month, confirming speakers and setting up each day's schedule. In fact, if our listeners have a topic, our listeners, that's you, have a topic that you'd like to share at the conference, this would be a great time to submit a proposal. Right, Justine?
Yes, actually, if you go to farmersmarketpros.com, the new revamped website,
Thank you,
can
Justine.
go.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Justine.
Not to toot my own horn, but it looks pretty great. So you're just gonna go click on the conference tab at the top, the menu at the top of the page, and it will then say Intense the Farmers Market Conference. You can click on that and scroll down about halfway through the page. There's a little area where you can learn about the speaker guidelines, all that we're looking for a presenter. We give you a bunch of information about the type of content that we want at our conference. So go ahead and read that, and then there is a little button that says submit a proposal, and you can go ahead and fill out that form. We will receive that and we'll get right back to you. So also, I just have to say, currently tickets for the event aren't posted, but at the top of that page, under the conference tab, if you go ahead and enter your email there, we will send you a notification as soon as tickets are available. I know everyone's lives are all over the place and the days blur into each other. But if you go ahead and enter your information there, we'll ping you as soon as tickets are available.
Well, and that'll give you the opportunity to get early bird pricing.
Exactly.
Yeah, we've got some
miss
organizations that are going to help subsidize the cost of the conference. It's interesting because there are certain things we don't have to do this year in terms of certain types of AV tech and renting the venue and food at the the reception and that kind of thing. So we're saving some money, conference operators are, but to get a platform that really works for a whole bunch of people at the same time, allows you to network, allows exhibitors to show what they're doing, there's actually some crazy big expenses associated with that. So there is still going to be a registration fee, but we've got some organizations that have signed up to kind of help us subsidize those sort of semi-scholarshipy things and some early bird pricing and some great deals. So you want to get in early and get your tickets taken care of while there's still some of those available.
Get in now.
Get in now.
Do it.
Yeah. So we've been working on those platforms that'll let conference attendees network within the conference. So you'll still be able to bump into each other in the halls virtually.
My favorite thing.
Yeah. Make new friends.
Yes.
And you'll be able to pop into exhibitors' booths virtually. We're really working on the whole hologram idea. I think we're probably not this year, but
I would like a Chris Quinlan hologram to pop
I
out.
would
He
too.
can wear his Bermuda shorts and his
That's right.
flower shirt.
Right?
It'd be awesome.
When he can just pop up on your desk like in Star Wars. Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah.
That would be
Yeah,
really
yeah.
fun. I mean, it's 2020. Come on.
Quinlan Juan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
We're doing it.
We're doing
It'd
it.
just be him.
In one way or another, we will have a way for you to look at Chris Quinlan and chat with him live and online at the conference. So,
That's right.
And that's important because that's kind of the best part of conferences is
Yeah.
to be able to bump into people and get to know people. But we're really figuring out some of the ways to make it the next best thing to being here live and in person. And we're having good conversations with some state conference leaders and such. And if it turns out that by next February it's safe, we'll be helping facilitate some regional meetups where you can get together and kind of do a watch party. You can bring small groups of people in your area together to watch the conference all at the same time and be able to have some of that interaction that we love at conferences. Again, crystal ball's cloudy. We can't say if that's going to be a good idea
One
in
day at a
February.
time.
Yeah.
That's right. But if it is, it's one of those things. Communication is everything. We'll be keeping in touch about what the options are.
Find a farm with good Wi-Fi and do it outside.
That's
Farm.
right.
Get
Yeah.
a screen. Get a movie screen.
Yeah, that's the thing. We know how to do things safely. We know how to bring people together and keep them safe because we're farmers market people.
That's right.
So maybe
right.
there'll be some of those options. We'll see.
We've been doing that
Yeah.
this whole time.
We're problem solvers.
Yep.
We are.
That's right.
Farmers market people are doers.
That's right. Well, very exciting. So all that prep is happening right now, so keep an eye on that. So meanwhile, we are all still hanging out together over in our private Facebook group, the Farmers Market Pros Community. And we have had a few hot topics over there in discussion this week. So we thought we'd just run through a few of them for our podcast listeners.
Yeah, we had a pretty good conversation that's still ongoing about whether the time is right to return to self-serve shopping at the farmers markets. And by that, we mean a lot of us switched to no-touch shopping, where the shoppers come in and they point at what they want and the farmer bags it up for them and hands it to them or sets it on a table for them to pick up. The whole idea being, if you've been in a grocery store lately, you probably have seen people or even done it yourself, as I found when I was in a grocery store. I don't get to grocery stores often because I do all my shopping at the farmers market, but I was in a store the other day and I just noticed, because we're aware of those things nowadays, how many times that package of granola gets picked up. Somebody reads the label, they decide it's not the one they want, they set it back down, they go on to the next one. I did the same thing. I'm a big label reader, so I'm picking up products, looking at them, setting them back down, and it just hit me all of a sudden, because we are so intent about one-touch shopping at the market, that good grief, who knows how many people are picking up things in the grocery store before you pick it up and put it in your cart. So there's a lot of hand-to-hand contact there. So a lot of markets, either because they're states or counties or cities, in our case, D, all of the above, have made them go to a no-touch situation, or because they just chose to because they thought it was a safer way to do things. A lot of markets have set up situations where you don't touch anything until after you purchase it. Well, there's a couple of kind of big farmers market association group or management groups that manage a number of markets that are now saying that they think it's okay if shoppers pick up their own produce, and that they'll monitor it. And then there's some other people that are saying, what do you think? Is that a safe thing to do at this point? And then there's other people saying, oh, well, we never did do that. We always just let people pick stuff up, and we encourage people not to pick up a bunch of stuff they're not going to buy. But then really, if your market's busy, who knows if that's happening? So that's been kind of a topic of conversation.
Yeah.
We've thought about
What do
it.
you
We definitely have farmers that wish that we could do that because it takes the farmers a lot of extra staff in their booth
That's
if
true.
they have to do a one-on-one kind of interaction with each customer. Now, in some ways, I think that does give you the opportunity to maybe sell more. You say, oh, this squash is great if you cook it with these greens.
Yeah.
So, you can suggest things. It gives you a chance to deepen those relationships. You can give people preparation suggestions, answer questions. So that's nice, but it's definitely more labor intensive for the farmers.
Yeah, I'm thinking about like during the summer, produce that's actually at the market is stuff that you might want to I think about like squeezing an avocado or like touching a tomato. But like as we move into the fall and winter, there's not as many things that you need to like squeeze.
That's true.
To
You're
test
touch
the
your
right.
root,
you're not
root
like
vegetables.
Is this potato ready to go or whatever? Yeah. So I wonder how much that like need for shoppers to actually like touch stuff before they buy it.
Yeah.
So maybe they could be self-serve and still only pick one thing up, the thing you're going to buy.
But then also, as a shopper, I would just be like, yeah, just give me whatever. Like, just hand me that spaghetti squash. Like, I don't care,
Yeah.
It's not as needing to know if something is right by touch.
I kind of like it better because I can say, like, when I buy avocados from Juan at Heritage Farms, little shout out, at the market, he'll ask me, like, I'll get like 10 avocados or whatever because we eat a lot. And he's like, well, when are you going to eat them? Are you making guacamole? Do you need like 5 ripe right now? Or is this just to like add on your lunch or dinner? So do you want them staggered? And he'll like literally pick out I'll tell him like, I want to eat 2 today. I want to eat 2 tomorrow, 3 on Monday, like 1 on Tuesday. And he's like, great, I got them all staggered for you. And he like picks them out and he knows what he's doing.
For sure. I've seen so much more of that now. That's one of the things I always liked about markets in France is, you'll buy cheese from the cheesemonger and you'll say, pour un chigui, or, for 3 days from now, and they'll give you a different cheese, a level of ripeness. And I've had that same experience at the farmers markets now with and I'm sure they always could have, but it's just the way we've done it. It's been self-serving. You just load it up and you pay for it. It's interesting. Some of those techniques and things have deepened in this situation.
I feel like that's true. All the markets that we go to in France, they like yell at you if you touch
you
the
can't
produce.
even touch it. They'll tell you which one is the one that you want. You tell them when you want to eat it.
Yeah, I did get yelled at for like squeezing an apricot one time at a French farmer's market in that little French town. We went to Lille or whatever.
Yeah. Lille.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only thing is that farmers do, and all vendors do have to have more staff.
Yeah.
And I could see that being a frustration for vendors.
It is.
Just like having to have more people there. And also for market managers at our market, there's a few of our vendors that they get lines and it kind of impacts the traffic flow at the market. So if people were able to pick up their own items, it might relieve some of that.
Speed things up.
And just translate to like bigger sales if you can shop faster. I know if I see a long line at a farmer's booth, I'll just go to another farmer's booth if I'm like quickly shopping. So I understand like the bottom line comes into play.
But I do think there are some, like we've heard from some shoppers that one of the reasons they're coming to the farmer's market is because it makes them feel really safe and really comfortable that nobody is touching the stuff before they pick it up. So you have, and obviously you always have those two schools of thought. So we have some customers that are impatient and they just want to be able to blast through and pick up their stuff and pay for it and go. Mm-hmm. And then there's other shoppers that are really comforted by the fact that it is a longer process and nobody's touching what they're buying other than the farmer.
Yeah, maybe some of this could be relieved by vendors just, or market managers who can communicate this to your vendors, or vendors if you're listening, just have those conversations with your shoppers and ask them like, hey, are you buying these avocados for this week? Or just having those, what level of ripeness do you want? Or just having those conversations might show shoppers that this is actually like a cooler way to do it.
Yeah, it's a cooler way. No touch is cool.
That's right.
And then at some point, we'll probably get back to touching produce. So this isn't like forever, unless some people like it, because I know a lot of farmers that like probably hate it that customers are squeezing their avocados constantly because it ruins them.
Trying to push it into ripeness.
And like their tomatoes, like you can't manhandle a tomatoes, or like a bacon avocado, as a bacon or reed, has really thin skin, so like if you squeeze it too hard, it like rips it. So I think there are produce, and like lettuce, you don't want to manhandle lettuce too much. So I think maybe this could develop into like, this could be a positive thing for how farmers sell their produce at the market, is like a less touch kind of thing. And then obviously like, root veggies are things that are easy to grab and don't have to be squeezed and prodded. We can kind of move into, that's a grab and go item.
So it gets back to, we don't have the answers, but those are the questions that we're all asking.
And then some people are like, no, they should just be able to touch them. And some people are like, I would never touch them. It's germs. So you just have like such opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
I feel like I'll just wash it, so I don't really care if people touch it, but
Yeah.
maybe that's not a safe way for me to think of it. But I think of more like, how do our shoppers feel?
Yeah.
And how do the farmers feel? So,
Washing produce. That's a good one. I had a farmer last week tell me to take my Brussels sprouts and wash them in vinegar water. Does everybody know this but me? I was like...
What about strawberries?
I was last week years old when I learned this. It was,
In vinegar?
Yeah, it says in vinegar water. He said because of aphids.
What?
No, but you
that's a
really
COVID thing,
dilute it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you really.
That makes sense, too.
At
That's a
summer
germ
camp, when I'd work in the kitchen, we'd be feeding like hundreds of people. This is a whole long.
You were the
topic.
lunch lady at summer camp?
Oh yes, for years.
Oh, retirement plan, lunch lady at surf camp.
We'd rinse all of the produce in like really, really diluted hydrogen peroxide.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
He was saying for aphids.
Oh,
Interesting, right?
I feel like there are aphids in my food sometimes when I eat it.
Yeah.
Like my organic produce, because they don't spray pesticides on them. So
I
it's
know,
like
I'm
the bugs
always-
just crawl out.
I'm encouraged when I see a bug.
Yeah.
because I don't like when there's caterpillars.
Oh, I don't like the little caterpillars. They're always in my lettuce and I can't see them.
Yeah.
I just close my eyes when I eat my food.
Farmers markets are a natural place.
Well, that's a good question and probably something that
Yeah.
just
to keep
markets
discussing.
are going to have to figure out for themselves and listen to their counties and cities
obviously.
and
Yeah, and I like hearing the conversation about it because it's like if you come up with one rule or the other, how are you conveying that message? What kind of pushback are you getting? Just so the rest of us can learn from that and just keep talking about it as,
That's why it's nice to have that community.
Yeah, for sure.
Somebody in our community was asking how long to keep paperwork, like applications and things.
yeah.
I feel like
that's a good question.
That is a really good question. I feel like to some extent that's something you need to ask a lawyer or an accountant because some of it's going to have tax ramifications and things. But for us, we keep applications for 2 years after a vendor leaves the market, partly in case we want to reactivate them and partly in case there's any question that comes up later. Of course, we're in California, which is litigation city, litigation land. So if there's ever anything that comes up about a complaint or whatever, we want to have all that contact information. Obviously, more of that can be handled online now, so we don't have quite as much paper. This was a manager that sounded like she was still doing all of her applications and things on paper. And so it was really, she said, I have a very small office. It's starting to pile up in my garage.
Yeah.
So
Get a scanner.
Yeah, or maybe use a market management software. I'm sure that there's ways that you can archive documents and have them on hand if you're doing it digitally.
And set them to like trash after a couple
a certain
years or
amount of
something.
time.
Yeah, that's a great way to like digitally file things.
we do a lot in Google Drive, and we just have to clean them out periodically.
Yeah. I do like looking back at original applications from like our old vendors too.
It's kind of fun.
I get a kick out of it. Yeah.
I just found a box of really old applications.
The ones that we have that were handwritten.
I forgot about that guy.
Oh,
That's a good question, though.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
good.
for sure.
I wonder if you're a market that is run by a municipality or a city or a Parks and Rec department, if they have some sort of standardized, you have to keep these documents for this long. So if you're a market that's run by somebody else or in partnership with a city or something like that, that maybe is a question that you should ask them.
Yeah, and if you're subject to audits at certain
Yeah.
to certain periods of time, anything obviously that's a financial document like rent receipts and things, you probably want to keep a little bit longer.
Yes.
Yep. So there's that.
Good
That was kind of an
question,
interesting question. Yep.
Yes. Love it.
And then this is a big scary one.
Uh-oh.
Somebody wanted to know what you're requiring of vendors who test positive for COVID before they can return to the market.
I feel like we talked about this too, like way back in like April or May
So I
when we
guess it
first
keeps
opening
changing.
up. So, but now it's like
Apparently it's happening. I think
it's
more
bound to happen because it's just spreading.
more
It's just
people are
what it is,
getting
what
it.
is. Yeah.
And more people seem to be getting it and not dying.
Yeah.
Not being in a lot of people are getting it and it's in a couple of weeks they're kind of through it. Their symptoms are not so intense and they can actually come back in a few weeks, but then how long do you ask them to wait?
Yeah.
And what are you requiring? I think was one of her questions. Do you ask for a positive test? She had a vendor, I think, who they didn't have it, but a family member had it, and we had a vendor like that, where their husband worked next to somebody that tested positive.
Yeah, I worked with someone who tested positive.
Yeah, so
his
we ended up
coworker.
wanting And then he got a negative test, and she actually
Yeah.
did send us a copy of the negative test.
Yeah.
But then we had to require that she get tested anyway because he could have still carried it, even though he didn't test positive.
It's just because
COVID's
testing
a weird
isn't
thing.
100%, yeah.
So we're looking for, if somebody's been positive, we want to see a negative test before they can come back. And then also what we've been doing is having vendors who travel quarantine.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's smart.
yeah, we had a vendor that went back to the Ukraine. That's where she was from. And when she came back, we had her stay out of the market for an additional 2 weeks after she came back from her vacation, just to make sure. And we've got another vendor that just went to a wedding, and she emailed and said, you know what, I shouldn't come back this week. I should wait another week, so I'll be out a full 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's smart.
It's really smart. I mean, it's just
Better safe than sorry.
the better thing to do, yeah.
Yeah.
My husband travels and he has to go sleep in the quarantine tent in our backyard, and he wears a mask when he comes inside the house because he travels, out of the state. So, and I want to keep myself safe, and I don't want to get sick, and then what if the three of us have to quarantine and the market's not happening? So, it's just better safe than sorry, and everyone's kind of doing the same precautions. You're not the only one being safe if you're being extra cautious and safe about it. And as a market manager, you're kind of everyone's like mom, so take care of them, or dad. So just like, you got to take care of your people. You have to take care of your other vendors that are at the market, take care of the shoppers, and then take care of that vendor who, was sick, and make sure that they're well enough to come back to work. And so just kind of have those protocols in place. I think what we talked about before was like making a plan ahead of time.
Yeah, I was
so
just
talk
gonna say,
about it with your team.
I think we talked about this when we had our conversation with members of the Farmers Market Pro community.
Yeah.
When we did that like fun group Zoom. And I think that Casey from Nolensville Farmers Market, she was just talking about how, heaven forbid they have to enact the plan, but they really went through every single step of what ifs kind of down the line, just to have those protocols in place. And we talk about this all the time. It's, it's not, just think through those things and have those plans. So then if you have to enforce them, you're not spending enforcing time making that plan. If you have it ahead of time, you may never have to use it, but then when, if you have to, you can just deploy it immediately. You don't have to waste that like emergency response time making a plan.
Exactly. Just like talking to Leilani about the Vermont Legal Toolkit. It's like, make your guidelines ahead of time and be proactive about that. Put something in there in your guidelines about this is how we're handling COVID right now. And we can't wait to delete this part of our guidelines when it's like not that big of an issue. But for now, this is our protocol. This is how we feel about it. This is what we're going to do if we get a positive test. Like, have that open conversation with your vendors so that they know where you stand on it. Because they need to know too. They deserve to know the plan and the protocol so they're not caught off guard by it.
Yeah, absolutely. We just got an email from I just saw on social maybe, an email from a market manager to her customers saying that if you attended the market on this day, you need to be aware that this person, an employee in this booth, has now tested positive.
Yeah,
so you need
and
to
that's a responsible thing to do. And I know it's hard, and I know you might get some negative, whatever pushback, but believe me, like when I see the restaurants that are doing that, the restaurants are putting out a message, we're going to close for 10 days because we had a staffer test positive. They only worked 1 day a week, but they were here last Thursday. So just so you know, if you were in the restaurant last Thursday, just
watch
so you
for
know,
symptoms.
we are going to be closed. We're going to do deep sanitation. That worker's not coming back until tests are negative. That like when places are upfront like that, it makes me feel much more safe.
Yeah.
Than if like it could leak. It's always a possibility that information is going to leak out before you've said anything, which would always be a disaster. Or two, like you're putting people's health at risk. Like, let's not.
Especially with farmers markets, because it's like part of the ethos of a farmers market is providing healthy options for your community. And if you are going to, if there's a situation like this and you're going to either deny it or bury it, it's like, what's the point?
Yeah,
revert back to your mission statement.
Exactly.
Let's all come back to our mission statement. We're here to provide healthy food to communities and provide communities with a healthy place to gather.
Exactly.
So bring that back. Yeah.
It's better to come forward, be honest about it, communicate it clearly, and then everybody can get back to work. It's like the longer you put things off, then it's going to seed, doubt within your community. They might not want to come, you might lose some shoppers. So
just be honest and upfront about it.
Yeah.
That's
the
whole
tough question.
How we got in this mess in the first place.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so lots of interesting conversation going on over there. So definitely join that group. What else is going on that's new? Our Vendor 101 class is now available online. So exciting.
That is exciting.
Yes. I just love it.
It was a fun project, wasn't it, guys?
Oh,
it was a fun project. And now it goes farther. So it's we worked it in so that it's valuable for people in all different parts of the country. And you can take Vendor 101 and then have that 1 hour live Q&A. Once we know where you're from, we make sure that we've got information available that's specific to your area. So that's exciting.
And I have to say, the format of it is so great because it's a really like go at your own pace. Mm-hmm. I personally am a classroom person. Mm-hmm. I was in, academia for a long time, and I love sitting in the classroom and taking notes seriously and asking questions. Like, I'm like the Hermione Granger, like always raising my hand. That's just kind of how I am. But I know a lot of people aren't like that. And so what's nice about this class is it's, especially for farmers markets, a lot of people that end up in farmers markets are maybe not people that were classroom people. They're, walk to the beat of their own drum. They're more hands-on type learners. And what's nice about this class is you can go at your own pace. There's 6 modules. They all have, videos associated with it, links. There's all these resources. And so if you only have, maybe you're a mom who has to, teach kindergarten now.
Yikes.
Even if you only have 15 minutes a day, you can take this class in bite-sized pieces, go at your own pace. You don't have to sit in the classroom with us for 5 hours. So,
well, I'm hearing from people too that are taking the new class. I had we did a live Q&A yesterday, and one of the people there was saying, "Oh, I watched that section 3 times."
Yeah.
So that's the thing is the new format. You can. People were not recording us when we were standing in the classroom, so now you've got that whole right. Not that we knew of. So now you've got the whole thing recorded, and you can go back and review parts that you need to dig deeper on, or sometimes your project takes longer than you expected, and so you get distracted by life or teaching kindergarten or what have you, and you go back to it later and you can kind of pick up where you left off and watch that recording again. So it's nice. Yeah,
because when I took Vendor 101, 5+ years ago, there was like 7 months between the time I took the class and actually got into the farmer's market. Yeah. And so I know that, even though I took diligent notes, some of that stuff maybe got confused, or I didn't, at the time that I took it, I didn't know anything. So I heard it with like ears of somebody that doesn't know anything. And then later, when I was more familiar with all the rules and regulations, looking back at my notes, like, God, it didn't make that much sense. So what's nice about this class is, you can revisit stuff and watch videos as many times as you need to actually get it.
Yeah, it'd be like a resource forever, just because it's all there captured.
Handy dandy. All of our startup folks are ready. So next up,
should have done this 10 years ago.
Farmers Market Manager 101 coming next.
Yay!
Justine's
I did feel like a taskmaster, like getting you guys to actually like capture the content. But now I'm hooked. So now we can create as many courses.
Oh, great! Should we jump right in?
Let's do it.
We're gonna have so many courses.
Maybe after the conference schedule.
Yes.
Yes. Maybe. Yeah. Let's wait till after that. But Farmers Market Manager 101 is something that Kat and I have always wanted to also do because we've been teaching vendors how to start their vendor business for so long. We love doing that because then they become a part of like our market family, or even when they go to other markets, it's like, this whole network of people that we have. But we've always really wanted to teach new farmers market managers and farmers market managers that are just getting started or who have maybe been doing just like a smaller market for a while and are just getting their feet wet. And we always have so many great conversations at the conference and just, in life when we go visit other markets and we're traveling, that we've always wanted to do an actual course and put all of this stuff that we're always talking about, all the questions that people always ask us about managing a market, and put it into a course just like Vendor 101. And I think that'll be so valuable. And I'm excited to do it in my 15-minute intervals that I have to do that.
With your 15 minutes of spare time every month.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe winter break. All right. Well, that was a great great catch-all episode. And we're excited that you guys tuned in. Farmers markets are all about community, and all of us operators, farmers, and vendors keep learning. To learn what's happening from people just like you in various parts of the country, or share what's happening in your area, we have terrific conversations and people sharing resources over in our private Facebook group, the Farmers Market Pros Community. Please find us there, answer the 3 qualifying questions, and join the group. You can also message us on Instagram at Farmers Market Pros, or email us at connect@farmersmarketpros.com. If you're just getting started in farmers markets, check out vendor-101.com online and to go deeper in our annual Intense, the Farmers Market Conference, be sure to sign up for updates at farmersmarketpros.com. Thank you so much for listening to Tent Talk. As always, please leave us a review if you haven't already on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever, the many places apparently you can access your podcasts. And just go to all those sites actually and leave us a review on all of them.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Tell us and others how you're enjoying Tent Talk. If you are listening on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss our next episode. Tent Talk, the Farmers Market Podcast, is proudly produced by Farmers Market Pros, where passion meets profit. Today's episode was recorded and edited by Justine Marzoni-Mead. Original music by David Mead. Thanks so much for listening today, and we'll have another great episode for you next week. Tune in.